Hello, I hope you're all doing well. It's Lois here from Lois and Morgana Davidson Art, and I've been in the studio today painting some Christmas cards. So today I'll be showing you how I painted this Christmas decoration here with a beautiful sort of pine cone, some red berries and some sort of fir tree needles. It's quite a simple, loose painting, and it's something that I have shown in a lot more detail on Patreon. So if you're interested in a fully narrated version of this, then why not pop over and follow the link to my Patreon page. I like this pretty little Christmas decoration because you could change it around. You could change the position of the fir cone, you could change the colour and type of the berries, the type of the needle leaves, anything like that, and create a whole range of similar Christmas cards or holiday cards. And you could end up with a really nice set of cards to send to your friends and family. So the first thing that I did was to sketch out the scene very, very simply. Just the rough shape of my pine cone, where my berries are, and a few lines to give indications of where my branch and my pine needles will be. And then I've painted masking fluid over the pine cone and the berries to keep them clean. While that's drying, just a quick plug for my book, Landscapes in Watercolour, Techniques and Tutorials for the Complete Beginner. Why not follow the links below and take a look if you're interested and if you enjoy my tutorials. There's plenty in the book, lots of basics, lots of techniques, but most important, lots of interesting projects. So once the masking fluid is dry, then I'm going to just use a small brush to paint a bit of water over the pine cone to start with. And now this is just sepia. Just going to drop some sepia into it sort of fairly randomly, making it slightly darker in places, lighter in others, pulling it around the shape of the pine cone. And now using the same brush, the same sepia, running a couple of branches through, painting straight over the berries and the pine cone, because of course those are protected by the masking fluid. And now I'm just using a rigger brush just to flick up my pine needles, first with Hooker's Green, a nice rich mixture of that lovely colour, and then I'll be using sepia, a bit of indigo and some sap green, maybe a bit of perylene green, just to vary up the greens and the values of these pine needles. I'll work across the painting, just flicking in these colours, allowing them in places to wet blend on the page, working around the pine cone so it looks like, and the berries, so it looks like the pine needles are behind that and all around them, just to sort of really fill out this scene and make it look really interesting, and building up the tonal values as well in my pine cone. I've laid my board flat, and this is ordinary table salt. I'm sprinkling a little bit of that into the damp paint around my pine cone, and just a little sprinkle of it here and there into the pine needle areas where it's wet and damp to just add some texture and interest. And then just before leaving it to dry, I'm using my fan brush and I'm spattering some of my pine needle colours over that Christmas decoration, just to add a bit more texture, a bit more interest. And I think spatter marks can always look really nice over this kind of very, very loose scene. Now I can just go in and go back and just do a few more pine needles here and there. Looking at the berries, I want to make sure there is some dark contrast behind them so they really stand out nicely. So just putting in a few more pine needles behind the berries where I think I need them. And now leaving it all to dry completely. And now as soon as the painting is dry, I'm using a glue remover or rubber cement pickup to remove the masking fluid nice and cleanly. You can see the berries just appearing, and of course those little shapes for the pine cone that are so distinctive. Once I've removed all my masking fluid, I'll just brush it off with a clean brush, dry brush, just to make sure there's no little crumbs on the page. Now I can begin to paint in the pine cone to start with, and then the berries. So I'm first dropping some sepia into those masked areas. And then I can add some burnt sienna for a bit of variety to the browns, and then darken up the values here and there using indigo. So that's the pine cone done and left to dry. I'm now going to paint in the berries. And the berries are going to be painted in really simply. First of all, I'm going to wet them with a size 3 brush so that the berry area is damp, so it will take the paint sort of really nicely in a wet way. So I'll just show you a few of them and then fast forward to the finished effects. So damping the paper, then I'm going to drop in some Windsor Red. It's nice and dark. Then while that Windsor Red is still wet, I've rolled up a bit of absorbent tissue to a nice point, and I've pulled out a highlight just by dabbing the point into the wet paint. That gives me the illusion of a lovely shine on the berries. So I'll continue to add this lovely rich red into the berries that I've pre-wetted, and then lift out the same highlight. And then once I've done that, I'll quickly drop in a tiny bit of sepia into the bottom of each of the berries just to add some shadow. And that's it. I've worked over some of the berries that are behind other berries, dropping a little bit of blue in with the red just to sort of cool them off a bit and push those back a bit into the shadows. But it's as simple as that, the finished Christmas card. You could, of course, print it out and attach the printouts to card blanks to turn them into cards, or just paint lots of little separate ones, all slightly different variations on a theme with different pine cones, different berries. Maybe even use these techniques as the basis for painting a Christmas wreath or something like that. Don't forget, there's a fully narrated version of this over on Patreon, so if you're interested in that and advert-free versions of my YouTube demos, then please take a look at Patreon, and don't forget to take a look at my book, which may make a really nice Christmas gift for any artist friends that you have. Thank you so much for watching. I'll see you again soon. Take care and happy painting. Bye.